Hello, fellow citizens of Metaverse. This is George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Metaverse Everything podcast, where we talk everything about Metaverse. Now, the big question, guys, is Metaverse dead? Because to be honest, guys, since 2023, when I try to look at information regarding Metaverse, particularly in the Middle East or MENA region, I'm unable to find absolutely any news regarding Metaverse. So in today's episode, we'll quickly go ahead and discuss if Metaverse is dead. So some areas that I wanted to look at, guys, is the actual timeline for mainstream adoption of Metaverse, and we'll also go ahead and discuss why is it that there is lack of Metaverse news, particularly in the Middle East, and we'll also go ahead and discuss if artificial intelligence has stolen the hype, and more importantly, the investment going into Metaverse. And finally, guys, we'll also go ahead and discuss, do we actually require blockchain and cryptocurrency in the Metaverse? Now look, guys, I'm a massive advocate of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Unfortunately, I do feel that at this point of time, blockchain and cryptocurrencies may not be an ideal fit in the Metaverse. A centralized entity such as Meta or Apple will be able to offer a much better user experience in the Metaverse, and it's so critical, guys, to truly understand that user experience in Metaverse cannot be something that we are currently experiencing. The experience in Metaverse has to be at least 10 times better in order for people to switch, or people are just not going to switch into the Metaverse. So we'll definitely go ahead and explore that news. And guys, listen, in 2024, there's US election taking place, and what kind of an impact will it have directly or indirectly in Metaverse? So we'll go ahead and explore that. And next year, guys, there's a possibility of Bitcoin spot ETF to be approved, and also Bitcoin halving. And these news, guys, will directly or indirectly impact the price of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. So once we start the episode, guys, we'll go ahead and look at the top 5 cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. And unfortunately, guys, they are definitely not looking good. And guys, like we do in every Metaverse Everything podcast, I'm going to be covering 5 Metaverse news from around the world and 5 Metaverse news from UAE. So let's kick start with the Metaverse Everything episode. Welcome to Metaverse Everything, the ultimate destination for virtual and augmented reality enthusiasts. The Metaverse is a vast and expanding universe of possibility, and in our show we aim to bring you coverage of every aspect of this exciting new frontier. From gaming and entertainment to socializing and work, the Metaverse is changing the way we live and interact with each other. Each week, we will bring you expert guests who will discuss the latest trends and technologies in the augmented and virtual reality industry, and offer practical tips for getting the most out of your Metaverse experience. We'll also explore the social and cultural implication of this rapidly evolving realm and how it's changing the way we communicate and connect with each other. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest Metaverse news from around the world and Dubai and the UAE. Whether you are a seasoned augmented reality or virtual reality enthusiast, or just getting started, Metaverse Everything has something for you. Join us as we journey into the Metaverse and discover all it has to offer. From the latest games and apps to the most cutting-edge hardware and software, we'll bring you the inside scoop on everything you need to know to fully immerse yourself in this exciting new world. So tune in and join us on a journey into the Metaverse. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or new to the world of augmented reality and virtual reality, the Metaverse is something for everyone, and we can't wait to share it with you on Metaverse Everything. Thank you to our sponsors for being part of the Blockchain DXB journey. Firstly, Advanced Media. Advanced Media, guys, is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact, guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen, guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website, that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so, guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE. So definitely check it out. And also, guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Shalu Group, a luxury retail and distributor which is headquartered in Dubai, are getting into the NFT game. And here's the deal guys, they are not just getting into the NFT and Metaverse space, they are going to be shaping the NFT, Metaverse and Web 3.0 space, which I believe is excellent not just for Dubai and UAE, but also for the global cryptocurrency community as well. And guys, Shalu Group's Web 3.0 sneaker brand called Soulmates revealed their first NFT collection on the 12th of April. Now what is really interesting is that it's called as Soulmates, so it's spelled as S for sugar, O for orange, L for Larry. Now instead of E, they have replaced it with Web3, and it is the number 3, mates.xyz. And guys, listen, Shalu Group has over half a century's worth of experience in luxury goods, and them getting into the NFT space is a massive deal. Now if you're a sneakerhead, you definitely need to check out soulmates.xyz. And once again guys, the number is 3 instead of an E. It has all the information, and in the show notes below you'll get all the information. And listen guys, if you want to be an early adopter, you can also pre-mint it at www.premint.xyz/soulmates. So definitely check it out. And they have a Discord community as well. And guys, Nick, who is the head of corporate innovation at Shalu Group and also the co-founder of Soulmates, has a WhatsApp group where he constantly provides updates in the area of NFTs, Metaverse and Web 3.0. So guys, check out soulmates.xyz and be part of the Soulmates OG NFT that is definitely going to shape the industry. Next, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now guys, since you've taken care of that, firstly let's quickly look at the top 5 cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. Now guys, when I started the Metaverse Everything series, the market cap of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse was hovering around the $12 billion mark. Unfortunately guys, it has gone down well below the 50% mark, and as of now the market cap of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse is down to $5.7 billion. Definitely not looking good. And we'll also go ahead and discuss a report which actually states that 99% of investors have actually lost money in Metaverse, so definitely not ideal. And look, guys, I've been saying this since the very first day. Cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols, unfortunately, are not the right mix for Metaverse, at least for now. But hopefully, by the time Metaverse gets mainstream, there are new cryptography methods which are invented that actually solve the blockchain trilemma problem and tackles all the issues that are related to blockchain protocols. And that is an area that definitely needs quite a lot of research. Now, apart from the market cap being down, even the 24-hour trading volume is ridiculously low. It is less than $500 million. As a matter of fact, it is just touching the $250 million mark, and it is only at $264 billion. Now listen, guys, 1 year ago, the 24-hour trading volume used to hover somewhere between the $2 billion mark. So the 24-hour trading volume of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse is down by more than 1/10. Definitely not ideal. Now let me just very briefly run through the top 5 cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. I won't read out the price, guys. What you essentially can do is you can go to CoinGecko and you can sort it as per Metaverse. Now mind you guys, CoinMarketCap used to have the same thing, but looks like because of news surrounding Metaverse has died down, they have taken down the option where you can actually sort it via Metaverse. So it looks like Metaverse is kind of dead, at least among cryptocurrency news. Now the number one protocol so far as market cap is concerned is the Sandbox, and its market cap is somewhere between the $635 billion mark. Axie Infinity, guys, is number 2nd, and its market cap is $605 billion mark. And if you look at the price of Axie Infinity, guys, right now it is at $4.63, and when it was at its all-time high, it was hovering around the $20 range. So it looks like Axie Infinity is definitely not doing good at all. Now the scariest thing, guys, is that the matrix of Decentraland. And listen, guys, in January, when the global cryptocurrency market did actually show some signs of bullish indicators, Decentraland, or MENA, was the protocol that actually picked up pace, and it had the highest momentum among all cryptocurrencies. And the price of Decentraland MENA did actually rise by 150%. Unfortunately, guys, right now it is down and it is doing ridiculously worse. And the price of MENA right now is only 29 cents, and the market cap, guys, is down to $548 billion. And earlier this year, guys, MENA was on the verge of crossing the $1 mark. Now the number 4 protocol is Render, and its price is $1.48. But if you look at its market cap, it is $548 billion again. And even Engine Coin, guys, its market cap is $250 billion, and it is only at $253 billion. And look, guys, unfortunately, cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse still requires at least a decade's time in order to go mainstream. Now let me just do one thing, guys. What I'll be doing next is I'm going to be revisiting the timeline of Metaverse, and in case if you guys do want to look at the slides, go to the show notes below. You can actually go ahead and find the link where you can actually look at the show notes as well. Now so far as the name of Metaverse is concerned, guys, this is definitely not a new concept. It goes back to well over 3 decades ago, and a scientific novel Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson did actually term the word Metaverse. So Neil Stephenson, guys, is the guy who actually termed it as Metaverse. And fast forward to, guys, in 2012, that is when we actually got the hype regarding virtual reality, and Oculus Rift did actually raise $2.4 million. Now, guys, if you want to go ahead and look at the history of augmented reality or virtual reality goes back to 1938, and there have been different use cases of virtual reality as well. But so far as augmented reality is concerned, it was actually termed going back to 1990. And guys, what is really surprising is that it was actually termed by a Boeing researcher called Tim Cordell. So definitely some really interesting information right regarding augmented reality, virtual reality as well. Now in 2015, guys, that is when virtual reality picked up pace, and I very specifically remember mainstream media such as BBC, Washington Post, they used to actually use virtual reality when they used to go live as well. And in 2017, HTC, Google, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, and even Sony did go ahead and launch a virtual reality headset. And me personally, guys, I did actually purchase my very first headset by Samsung, and to be honest, guys, the user experience was absolutely brilliant. And the device was called the Samsung Gear, but unfortunately it looks like Samsung Gear has been discontinued. But the biggest hype of Metaverse did actually kick in from 2021. And to be honest, guys, if you actually go ahead and look at the root cause of it, That is only because of the NFT sale of Beeple artwork, and the reason why it took so much of hype is because of the username who actually purchased it, that was called as MetaCoin. And that moment, guys, did actually drive a lot of news regarding NFTs. Eventually, that led to the hype of Metaverse. And the biggest breakthrough moment, guys, was Facebook changing its name from Facebook to Meta. And what I noticed, guys, is people became experts in LinkedIn overnight. And that, to be honest, did actually drive a lot of hype surrounding Metaverse. And if I'm being completely honest, guys, that's precisely the reason why even I named my series called as Metaverse Everything, because I was looking at LinkedIn posts. And to be honest, guys, I absolutely did not like what a lot of people were actually talking about regarding Metaverse. So I thought, why not just keep it as Metaverse Everything? But look, guys, when we talk about mainstream adoption of Metaverse, I do have this feeling, backing with data and numbers, that the mainstream adoption is probably less than a decade away. So ideally, you're looking at a time period of 2030 to 2040. And that, to be honest, guys, is the realistic timeline for mainstream adoption of Metaverse. Now, what is a bit interesting is that this actually merges with things that are not directly related to Metaverse. The first one being central bank digital currency. I do feel by 2030 and 2040 is when central bank digital currency will actually go mainstream. And by that time, guys, we'll definitely have better hardware, virtual reality headset, better augmented reality headset, and mixed reality headsets as well. And guys, it's so critical to always go back to Meta's role and Meta's vision on Metaverse. And they do want to go ahead and launch a device that is similar to wearing sunglasses, and they are partnered with Ray-Ban, and what they want to do is they want to keep a price tag of only $100. Now you need to compare this $100, guys, with Apple phone and your actual mobile phone. Now imagine all of the services that you have on your mobile phone, you can just have that on your sunglasses, but it'll also focus on user experience, and you can do quite a lot of things. You can have experience of virtual reality, you can have experience of augmented reality, and these headset, guys, in the near future will be able to tackle all of the 5 senses as well. And that, to be honest, guys, is actually a 10x better user experience than what you're currently experiencing. And to be honest, guys, the user experience in Decentraland or the Sandbox Metaverse platform is definitely not 10x. I would actually say it is minus 10x, and that's one of the reasons why investors have definitely lost a lot of money. And guys, listen, since 2023, particularly in the Middle East, there is a lack of Metaverse news, because what I tend to do is in my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast, every time I try to find out information, let's say via Google, via Instagram, different online publication, I also tend to look at the Big Four website, I also tend to listen to podcasts. Unfortunately, guys, I'm just not able to find any news regarding Metaverse, but I'm definitely finding news regarding artificial intelligence. And to be honest, guys, artificial intelligence news has definitely overtaken Metaverse news by leaps and bounds, and it's no surprise, guys, that even investment has been shifted from Metaverse onto artificial intelligence. And listen, guys, ever since Terra Luna was down, and ever since FTX collapsed, the cryptocurrency market has been on a downturn, and that definitely does not help with Metaverse news as well. And one thing, guys, which I've definitely noticed is people definitely still do not understand what actually Metaverse is. And even Meta, guys, there's a lot of negative news surrounding Metaverse, and what is a bit surprising is that even if you go to mainstream media, they are bashing Meta quite a lot. And to be honest, guys, that is precisely the reason why there is a lot of negative news regarding Metaverse. Now, what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, Cryptopolitan, they have actually gone ahead and published an article which actually states that investors have registered 99% losses. Definitely not ideal. And in that article, what they have mentioned is that Metaverse is currently navigating through turbulent waters, sparkling debate among investors, developers, and analysts about the sustainability and long-term prospects of these digital universes. That is something which I definitely agree to, but it is definitely going to change, let's say in the next 6 to 7 years. And what the article, guys, by Cryptopolitan has mentioned, that as of September of 2023, the total value of Sandbox Sand, EXS, Engine Coin, and Decentraland Mana has gone down, will be reduced to $1.23 billion. And listen, guys, if you look at Decentraland, the value of Decentraland was, I believe, only at $1 billion. And a few months ago, guys, what I did is via dapradar.com, you can actually go ahead and check the transaction value in terms of dollar amount, and you'd be surprised, guys, in Decentraland, the amount of people doing transaction was less than $600. Definitely not ideal. So unfortunately, guys, we definitely need to understand the actual time frame of Metaverse, and once you truly understand the time horizon, then we can make investment decisions. Because right now, guys, there's this massive rise of artificial intelligence, and if you look at ChatGPT, it has definitely gained a lot of momentum, but there are also talks about OpenAI going for bankruptcy, and the number of users using ChatGPT has drastically gone down as well. But listen, guys, me personally, I tend to use ChatGPT, and it saves me at least 2 to 3 hours, to be completely honest. And one of the biggest things, guys, which I've noticed regarding Metaverse is the tech founders, CEOs, and software developers or tech developers, they truly do not understand the actual use case of Metaverse. Just switching current existing systems to Metaverse will not cut it, guys. The new user experience has to be 10 times better. And the example I can always think of is your regular mobile phone. If you were to compare it, let's say, to WhatsApp does actually offer a 10x better user experience rather than, let's say, sending text messages or SMS services, right? Because in WhatsApp, you can send pictures, you can send videos, you can send voice notes. Now you can also send stories, and you can also get a confirmation that it is delivered or not. You can create groups and quite a lot of other. You need to compare that, let's say, with text messaging or SMS services. Or the other example, guys, which I often think about is your regular physical mail to email. Now in email, guys, you can send attachment. It is instant delivery. In case of physical delivery, you never know when you're going to receive it. So my big point is, when you talk about Metaverse, guys, the new user experience has to be 10 times better or people will not switch it. Now there's only one exception I can think of where people have actually gone ahead and switched, and that is of Threads. Now granted, guys, Threads did get 100 million users, but the number of people interacting with it has completely died down. And guys, so as investment in Metaverse is concerned, I definitely do feel that investment has shifted to semiconductor and nano chips. And Nvidia at this point of time is on the verge of becoming a $1 trillion company. And look, guys, if you still want to get into the Metaverse space, what I'd really urge you to do is follow Nvidia. And I'd also recommend you to subscribe to the newsletters as well, because every week they tend to provide constant updates on what is Nvidia doing and how it can actually help better development in the Metaverse industry as well. Now the next point, guys, what I'd like to talk about, and it might sound a bit controversial, but I want to pose this question. Do we require blockchain and cryptocurrency in the Metaverse? And one thing which I did mention earlier, guys, unfortunately, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain will not be the ideal fit in the Metaverse. What I do feel is that central bank digital currency will be a perfect fit in the Metaverse. You need to look at transaction speeds per second. And the reason why I feel that is simple, guys. I'm talking about transaction speed per second. I'm talking about user experience. I'm also talking about customer service experience. And listen, guys, when there are chargebacks with CBDCs, you'll be able to do that. So unfortunately, guys, at this point of time, what I do feel is central bank digital currency will be an ideal fit in the Metaverse, followed by stable coins. Now listen, guys, I'm not a massive advocate of stable coins as well. What I'd urge you to do is listen to my thoughts and opinions on stable coins in my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast, because stable coins unfortunately do not follow the ethos of open blockchain and your transactions can be censored. But in case of Metaverse, it will be an ideal use case and people will be able to transact using stable coins. There is a possibility to have DeFi in the Metaverse, also called as Metaverse Finance. And guys, finally, third, RippleNet or XRP, which is more of a software and pretty much has nothing to do with blockchain as such. That might be an ideal fit in the Metaverse. And let's say, guys, if you still want to go out and use blockchain technology, what I'd really recommend you to do is try to understand what Lightning Network is. Now, Bitcoin using Lightning Network will be able to withstand the transaction per second in the Metaverse. And finally, guys, maybe some shit coins like meme coins may be an ideal fit in the Metaverse. So the question is, guys, do we require blockchain and cryptocurrency in the Metaverse? Unfortunately, the answer is no, and I very strongly feel that a centralized entity like Facebook or Apple will offer a much better user experience, and central bank digital currency might be an ideal fit in the Metaverse, followed by stablecoin, followed by RippleNet or XRP. And if you still want to go ahead and use cryptocurrency, Lightning Network using Bitcoin will be an ideal fit, followed by some of the shitcoins or meme coins. Now, whether you agree to it or disagree to it, mention them in the comments below. Now, let me make it very clear, guys, I'm not at all a fan of CBDCs or stablecoins or RippleNet, but they do make a perfect fit in the Metaverse. Personally, guys, I'm a massive advocate of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but keeping in mind the blockchain trilemma problem, I definitely don't think they'll be an ideal fit in the Metaverse. Now, guys, before we look at the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from UAE, let me quickly discuss external factors that in the near future will actually go ahead and impact Metaverse. And the first thing, guys, that I can think of right now is US election. And look, guys, whenever there is a US election, a year before that is when there is absolutely major chaos. There's often pandemic, there's often global recession, and there's a very high possibility of civil rights this year as well. And there's going to be a lot of chaos. And look, guys, we are definitely heading into new world order. And because of the US election, I do feel it'll directly and indirectly have a negative impact on investment pooling into Metaverse, which in turn affects the developers trying to build new things in the Metaverse. Those are my thoughts. And the second and the most important thing, guys, I can think of is Bitcoin Spot ETF. And look, guys, unfortunately, since the last few months, that is what has been circulating in the news, and the Security and Exchange Commission has been delaying Bitcoin Spot ETF. But let's say if the US Security and Exchange Commission does go ahead and decide to approve a Bitcoin Spot ETF, the price of Bitcoin will definitely pump up to the moon. Because of that, even platforms such as Sandbox or Sand, Decentraland or MENA, XC Infinity will definitely be pumping up as well. And to be honest, guys, that news will definitely drive momentum and try to get more news regarding Metaverse as well. And the third thing, guys, has to do with Bitcoin again, and that is to do with Bitcoin halving. Now, the Bitcoin halving most likely will happen towards April or May. And once that thing happens, guys, we know the supply gets reduced and the demand for Bitcoin hopefully will increase. And that news will directly and indirectly impact the price of cryptocurrency and blockchain protocols that are connected to Metaverse. And the fourth thing, guys, I can think of, which is once again connected to the US election, is the possibility of World War III. And look, guys, there is massive drama going on between US and Russia, China and Taiwan, and also there's a very high possibility of civil rights in US, and now we're heading into World War III. To be honest, guys, I really am not sure, because to be honest, guys, there is a very high possibility, as long as left-leaning administration is in charge in the US, that we might be heading towards World War III. And what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, Robert Kennedy Jr., try to follow him on Twitter, and some of the tweets that he's saying is absolutely shocking and scary as well. And mind you, guys, he knows the ins and outs of the US government. So those are some of the external factors, guys, that might directly and indirectly impact Metaverse. Now, guys, let's quickly discuss the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world. Now, mind you, guys, some of these news I've already gone ahead and mentioned in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast. So if you do want to find out more information, guys, listen to my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast. So today's episode, I'll very briefly run through what that news is all about. And the first news, guys, which I definitely covered in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, is taxation in the Metaverse. And there is a research paper put out called as Taxing the Metaverse, and it is put out by Harvard legal scholar and Yeshiva University law professor Christine Kim. And she actually argues in the research paper for not only taxing the Metaverse, but treating it as a laboratory for experimenting with cutting-edge policy. So definitely check it out. And look, guys, taxation in the Metaverse with central bank digital currency will be absolutely easy. And so far CBDCs are concerned, guys, you need to understand, guys, that there are different types of CBDCs. You have retail CBDC, you have wholesale CBDC, and for international transactions, you have multiple CBDC as well. And if CBDCs are connected, let's say to a permission blockchain, the audit is done real time as well. Now, the second news, guys, is to do with Facebook's Meta. And if you go to the link that is in the show notes below, you can actually go ahead and see a video, which is more like an advert, guys. And Meta's new advertisement campaign reminds people that virtual reality is already here. And in that campaign, guys, they aim to remind executives, governments, and general consumers that virtual reality, guys, is already being used in real world for critical purposes. So the video is roughly around 3 minutes long. Definitely go ahead and check it out, guys. So let me just very briefly go through some of the key takeaways, guys. Because look, guys, whether you like Meta or not, they are definitely getting full into Metaverse. And what that Meta's new ad campaign says, guys, is virtual reality, mixed and augmented reality have reached a new levels of impact on surgeons, athletes, industrial workers, and more are definitely on the way to rely on immersive technologies in the fields. And secondly, guys, Meta are sharing examples of how people are using immersive technologies today to transform education and training and staying connected with other people from all around the world. So definitely an interesting video. And the third news, guys, is all the way from India, and this is to do with religious beliefs. An ISKCON temple in Delhi's Dwarka is planning to launch Metaverse to connect devotees worldwide. Now, what are your thoughts, guys? Would you actually visit a religious event or religious place using an augmented reality headset or virtual reality headset? To be honest, guys, I have a mixed reaction to this. But if you look at what happened during COVID-19, religious people all over the world, they try to attend virtual events, and I'm pretty much sure other religions try to have regular prayers online as well, isn't it? So let me know, guys, what your thoughts are. And the fourth thing, guys, has to do with football or soccer. And what's going to happen is on the 20th and 21st of this month, Zetli and Transmira, they are going to be having a presentation at the World Football Summit Europe, which takes place in Sevilla, Spain. And looks like, guys, they're going to unveil something to do with Twin World and Twin Metaverse. So definitely a unique and interesting concept. And the fifth news, guys, has to do with beauty. And one trend, guys, what I noticed last year is when you talk about Metaverse, fashion industry was definitely one of the early adopters of Metaverse, and L'Oreal, guys, is an absolute giant in the fashion industry. So the news is that L'Oreal's dermatological beauty division is launching Metaverse showroom, and they're planning to bring various of their brands in the virtual world. So definitely unique and interesting concept. Now, guys, let's discuss Metaverse news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. And to be honest, guys, I've covered all these 5 news in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast. So in today's episode, I'll just very briefly run through it, because the first news, guys, is something which I did actually cover last week, and that is to do with DIFC Metaverse Accelerator. And the program, guys, did actually attract 160 applicants from UAE, UK, US, India and France. So please feel free to check out my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast, because what I did in that episode, guys, I went ahead and elaborated and gave out more information. And the second news, guys, is trying to actually merge the Metaverse with artificial intelligence. And Beidou, which is definitely one of the tech giants in Dubai, they're also claiming to be Dubai's Web3 pioneer, and they are aiming to shape the future of relationship between artificial intelligence and the digital realm. And what I'm planning to do, guys, I'm trying to get one of the founders of Beidou and trying to interview them for my Metaverse Everything series as well. And the third news, guys, is all the way from Abu Dhabi, and that is to do with Yas Island Tour. And the news is that Abu Dhabi is launching virtual reality Yas Island Tours. And what is brilliant and crazy, guys, is they're doing that using Roblox technology. Now, this point of time, I'm pretty much sure if you have kids or teenagers at your place, they're definitely using Roblox. So go to Roblox and check out your silent tour. Now, the fourth news, guys, has to do with the global summit. And the news is that the UAE Public Prosecution is actually organizing a global summit for Metaverse governance in emerging technology. And looks like, guys, this is an invite-only event. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to tackle developing legislations and regulations related to data protection, privacy and cybersecurity risks, and the roles and responsibilities associated with the concerned parties from governments, private sector, institutions, and international organizations as well. And the fifth news, guys, has to do with a Dubai-based Metaverse company called as Land Vault, and they are planning to usher in the new era of the internet. And they actually made the announcement on their 1-year anniversary, and they call it as Land Vault 2.0. And they have a strategy to evolve the internet, and they have shifted their focus to create a more immersive 3D internet experience. And in the past, guys, they did well in Metaverse industry, building virtual spaces for big companies. But with changing trends and some companies leaving the Metaverse, Land Vault is adapting, and Land Vault's new strategy actually focuses on 2 main points. First one is technology advancement, and the second one is introducing 3D internet. Now let me very briefly run through what that news is, because they're working on tools to help creators and brands make high quality content easily and make money from it as well. And so far as 3D internet is concerned, they want to be leaders in the Middle East and North Africa region by bringing a more useful and practical 3D internet experience, and they are collaborating with local brands and governments to achieve this. So it's going to be really interesting to see, guys, how this news develops. And look, guys, a lot of the smart people have definitely ditched Metaverse, but once again, guys, you need to be in the game for a longer duration, and Mark Zuckerberg is definitely aware of the timelines as well. And that's about all, guys, on Metaverse Everything series for today. In case if you guys do have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my website blockchaindxb.com that talks everything about cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And so far as news regarding Metaverse is concerned, guys, you can check out area2071.com that talks everything about Metaverse. And guys, listen, if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And what I'd really request you guys to do is, whether you agree or disagree to some of the points that I mentioned in this episode, mention your thoughts and comments in the comment sections below. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the series of Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other 2 news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East, and the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And guys, Monday to Thursdays, I also have an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Metaverse Everything series, which is a research-driven broadcast focusing on education and the technological content regarding Metaverse and its impact in the near future. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a brilliant weekend ahead. Bye-bye.